Welcome to the Fear and Greed Business Interview. I'm Sean Aylmer. Small business owners have been under pressure in recent years. The rising cost of living, high interest rates, soaring power bills, low consumer sentiment, and a dip in retail spending means SMEs need to be very, very resilient. But with rates now coming down, inflation looking like it's under control, and the election now behind us, I wanted to take a more positive look at the state of small business. Well, I hope it's more positive. As we head towards the end of the financial year, what can SMEs be doing to set themselves up for a successful 2026 fiscal year? What are the challenges they're facing? What are the big opportunities? Beau Bertoli is the co-founder and chief revenue officer at Prospa, a great supporter of this podcast. Beau, welcome to Fear and Greed.
Thanks for having me. Great to be here.
So let's set the scene. How tough has the last couple of years been?
Look, it's been a really tough couple of years. I think you touched on inflation, being at sort of generational highs, interest rates, well over 4%. It's been really, really tough for small business owners. In particular, their costs, wages have gone through the roof for them. So it's been a really difficult couple of years. And I think what we're finding now as we sort of head into the middle of 2025 is that business owners, they are resilient, but it's also been a bit of a survival of the fittest. That we're now finding the businesses who are still here in the middle of 25 are the ones that have been able to adapt. They've adjusted their cost structures. They've got their pricing model and their margins right. And they've weathered the storm, so to speak. So they're almost at the other side of it.
Are there some sectors that have struggled more than others?
Definitely. I think if you look across the Australian economy, the areas that have had the most difficult time are hospitality, retail, and probably the building and trade sector. And if you look at things like insolvency rates, they've been, again, generational highs. It's been those three sectors that have been most impacted in the small business arena. And again, I think it's the resilience of small businesses within those industries where we've seen consolidation start to take place. We've seen business owners looking for opportunities within these difficult times. On the flip side, there's been industries that have actually performed really well in the last 12 to 24 months. For example, in professional services, that's been an area that we've seen really strong growth. Manufacturing as well, and wholesale has been another area that's done very well. So it is a bit of a tale of two stories across the Australian economy. And I think over the last probably 6 months, with the first interest rate cut earlier this year, a second recent cut now as well, we're in a really good position to create, I think, the next platform of growth for the Australian economy for small businesses.
So let's talk about that. We're at a point from what you just said then, Beau, not quite the survival of the fittest, but the fittest have done best. They've come through, or they've gotten fit as a result of everything that's gone on. How are they feeling about 2026? Do you think there's more optimism out there?
I think there is. And again, you talk about survival of the fittest, like it is a genuine thing in business that, most small business owners, they are running right to the edge. One of the bits of research that we've conducted recently showed that the majority of small business owners have less than 90 days of business expenses as cash in the bank account. Literally 3 months of runway. So it is really important that business owners, I guess, see these opportunities that are now starting to emerge in the economy. I think looking forward in terms of optimism, it's definitely coming from a place where interest rates are coming down, unemployment is relatively stable, consumer growth, while it's not booming, it's relatively stable. We've got the election result out of the way as well, which is good for certainty around our policy and where to. So I think all of the platform ingredients are there now for business owners to take advantage of those opportunities that are going to be coming over the next 12 months.
In a sense, how do they take advantage of the opportunities? I know it depends on what sector they're in, and some will do better than others. But as you sit here today, whereabouts, what's the proactive steps business owners should be taking to be thinking about these opportunities, to be able to grasp them when they arrive, or even going out and finding them?
Yeah, sure. I think of it as fitter, faster, stronger. They're my three kind of ideas for a business owner. And when we think about being fitter, how is it you can cut some waste in your business? And every business owner has got it. Can you trim down the fat a little bit in terms of saving just a little bit more to your bottom line? How do you get faster? So there's a lot of different ways you can get faster as a business owner. At the end of the day, the customer is what's driving speed in our economy. And I think customers, all of us are guilty of this. We are so, we value speed of outcome, whether that's a quick answer in a credit application with Prospa, or whether it's buying something online and getting it delivered the next day or that day. There is this demand now for expediency in terms of experience. And that's a really important thing to get right. And that takes things like investing in technology to be able to actually move faster as a business and be more productive. And then how do you get stronger? Well, that's actually building up your balance sheet. And, at Prospa, one of the things we're really proud of is that we've funded almost $5 billion into the Australian economy for small business owners. And we know how valuable having some extra working capital in your business can be. So strengthen your balance sheet, take advantage of an opportunity which could be to consolidate part of the market that you're in. How do you do that? You need funding to do that.
Yeah.
Take advantage of opening a new site. How do you do that? It needs money to actually go and open that site. Perhaps you want to expand interstate. There's now an opportunity to open up in a different part of Australia. How do you do that? Again, it takes money. So this is one of the things where I think business owners need to understand there are options out there, not just the big banks, but outside of the big banks, companies like Prospa, where we can actually help you take advantage of those growth opportunities, which 9 out of 10 times takes money to actually get advantage of.
I want to talk a little bit more about that, but we'll take a quick break. My guest this morning is Beau Bertoli, co-founder of Prospa. Before we went to the break, you were talking about the need for funding to take advantage of opportunities. Just Prospa itself, where's your funding come from? Just like a 101 on Prospa.
Sure. So Prospa is a business we started 13 years ago, and we are a self-funded on-balance sheet lender. So right. We basically source our own capital, and we provide that capital out there to small business owners. We have loans between $5,000 up to $500,000. We have revolving line of credit products as well that operate like overdrafts. So it's a really broad range of products that we offer, and we fund almost every industry and geographical area in Australia.
And sorry, what size are the loans that you're talking about in the overdrafts?
So from $5,000 up to $500,000.
Okay. And is that an area, I'd imagine the banks are fairly aggressive in that area. That's a question.
No, not really, because I think the banks, they're very good at certain things. So they're very good at writing mortgages, very good at institutional and corporate banking. But to a bank, a small business is someone looking typically to borrow $2 million.
Yep.
Whereas we're looking at a business owner, it's someone who's doing $2 million a year in revenue. That's a small business owner. They might only need $50,000, $100,000, $200,000. So what we've, innovated at Prospa is a way for those businesses out there that need a quick and almost immediate answer to, am I eligible for funding or not? We can turn applications around in less than 24 hours, and they can have the funding almost overnight in most cases. So it's a really powerful proposition for business owners when you see an opportunity, which often comes up last minute, and you need the capital to take advantage of it. Well, we're there, and we can get you an answer really quickly on whether or not you can get that capital.
So if I'm asking for a loan from you, what are you looking at from me though? What are the characteristics that you want the small business to have so that they can get the loan? What are you looking for?
So for us, it's really looking at the cash flow of the business. So the P&L and the balance sheet are important documents, but that's actually what the banks typically will look at. So we prefer to understand the cash flow of the business. And what we've found is that allows us to lend the right amount of money, and in many cases more money, to small business owners than what perhaps the financial statements are supporting. So it's really, really valuable for us to have a good insight into who the business owner is, what industry you're in. The whole application process for Prospa is online. It takes about 10 minutes to fill out, and often it's the provision of your bank statement. So just some transaction information to understand how the cash flow of your business is working. With that information, we're able to provide an answer, as I mentioned earlier, within 24 hours, and that's a really great experience for business owners.
Okay, I want to talk about tech. Prospa does both tech and finance-based solutions. Do SMEs use tech? And then I want to go into AI. So just don't talk about AI yet. I'm just interested in whether SMEs, whether they are people who just don't have time to invest in technology or to understand it, or whether they do and actually drives their business.
So there's two groups of customer when it comes to technology. I think 100% of business owners use technology in some way, shape, or form. So they've got an email address, they've got some type of phone, or even some type of basic software that they might use, whether that's Excel or Word or something like that. Then there are the business owners who really value technology, and they're using it to try and enhance their customer proposition or run their business far more efficiently. So there is this group of small business owners that really care about technology, and they're constantly trying to think about, how can I make my website experience better? How can I make my product experience better? You might be a plumbing business and you're thinking about, how can I invest in telematics so I can plan out the routes of my vehicles better? So there's a lot of different ways to invest in technology, and that's relevant for a pocket. But then there's a very large pocket of business owners that don't invest in technology. In fact, one stat that surprised me in the last few years is that 42% of business owners don't even have a website, let alone a social presence. So that's a really big insight into how much opportunity can still be out there, given that there are so many businesses that are not even really active in the digital world that we live in today.
And I'm assuming they're not investing in AI either. What about the third that are investing in technology? Is AI being implemented in small business at the same pace it is in big business?
First, I'm not sure that's being invested in a big business at a fast enough pace at the moment, but I think at the small end of town, it's even worse. So I think, AI, a lot of people are playing around with, some of the basic models like ChatGPT and, almost using it as an advanced search engine.
Yep.
But really the utility of AI is how can you bring it into the operations of your business and how can you invest in it in the customer experience, whatever that product experience happens to be. So again, I think there's a whole spectrum of small business owners that are even understanding and aware of what AI can actually do for a business. I think there's a short window, maybe it's only 12 or 24 months, where business owners need to get on board and they need to really understand how AI can help their business. It's not this scary foreign thing. It's actually a really easy technology to start playing around with and use. Talking about website development, you can literally use an AI tool now online to build a website in 10 or 15 minutes using natural language. You don't even need to know how to code or anything like that. So there are really simple things that you can now use that could really help a business owner get forward. And I think it's really important that business owners, and as a community, we try to educate more business owners around the value of not just AI, but general technology, because we know how valuable it is at opening up productivity, at driving more profit and revenue through the economy, and ultimately creating more jobs. So super important that we keep investing in it.
Beau, thank you for talking to Fear and Greed.
Thanks for having me.
That was Beau Bertoli, co-founder and chief revenue officer of Prospa. This is the Fear and Greed business interview. Join us every morning for the full episode of Fear and Greed, daily business news for people who make their own decisions. I'm Sean Aylmer. Enjoy your day.